Welcome back to the Sense of Life podcast. My name's Cody,
And I'm Joe.
and we've got a bit of a fun episode here going into Spooky Month, talking about something that I guess qualifies as a movie, The
Yeah.
Devil and Father Amorth from 2017, directed by William Friedkin, and 2023. Did I say 2017 for Devil and Father Amorth? Yeah, I did. Pretty sure I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then film from earlier this year, The Pope's Exorcist by Julius Avery, which is more of a movie than The Devil and Father Amorth. So, a couple kind of housekeeping things. We tried to start recording this, then I had to use the bathroom. So we started again, and so I'm a little bit caught off guard now. My birthday's tomorrow, so that's fun. So this will be going up on my birthday, hopefully. And I am also recording a podcast. I mentioned this last week, but I'm recording a podcast for Rare Candy, with Rare Candy tomorrow, on Richard Matheson's Hell House. And I think we're going to talk about the 1973 adaptation, The Legend of Hell House, which I just watched this morning. I have to finish that book tonight. Almost done with it. And I'm not sure when that'll go up, but it will be behind a paywall. I think they go through Substack instead of Patreon, and I'll probably post details about that when that episode goes up. So yeah, The Devil and Father Amorth. This will probably be a quick topic.
Yeah, this this one, I mean, it felt... I mean, I guess to give a background of the documentary, it's just William Friedkin, famous director of The Exorcist, deciding to ask famous... what was his position in the Vatican? Like chief exorcist or something like that?
Yeah, chief exorcist of the Vatican, I think.
Yeah, Father Gabriel Amorth, chief exorcist of the Vatican, if he could film him performing an exorcism. And Amorth agreed to this, but with the caveat that it could only be Friedkin with a camera and no crew or anything.
Yeah.
So it felt as though Friedkin went into this like, oh man, I'm going to get so much out of this. And then he didn't get nearly as much as he thought he would get out of it. So then he was like, fuck.
Fuck, my movie was better.
Now I have to do a bunch of shit to pad out the runtime to make this a little bit over an hour.
It's
like 69 minutes long. It's not a long documentary. And
yeah, it's basically like there was a Letterboxd review of it that was like it's like a Ghost Adventures episode.
Yeah.
And
if only every episode could have William Friedkin.
Yeah. So like it's got a novelty to it because we just did a few episodes back. We did our episode on William Friedkin, who passed away. So it's kind of cute to see him like coming on screen giving narration. And apparently he hired the British film critic Mark Kermode to help write some of that narration that he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on Tubi. It's not unwatchable, but it's
arguably it's really funny.
Yeah,
it's really funny, but like it's just not good, like almost at all, because the main draw of it is well, I guess if you believe in exorcisms, the main draw would be watching the exorcism, and it's just a static camera pointed in a very claustrophobic room filled with old people. And Father Amorth chanting in like Latin and Italian and stuff at this Christina lady this is her 9th exorcism. So something's fucked up with this
and
lady.
It gives a little bit of detail on like how the Catholic Church handles what should and shouldn't be an exorcism, which is pretty interesting. If you listen to any kind of paranormal type podcast, this shit comes up. Right. Or even like watching like paranormal TV shows and whatnot. There's a pretty decent one called The Exorcist Files, which is kind of in this vein. Still probably bullshit, but it's weirdly entertaining. There was one episode of that show that apparently this woman was like possessed by like some kind of like lust demon and would like attract men to get them to come home and like fuck them for days until they couldn't like function. It was insane. Exorcist stuff is really funny, I think. The funniest part of this movie is the only reason why I genuinely loved it was that for all of the Christina's like talking in the movie as the demon, quote unquote, he adds the like Call of Duty Nazi zombie like screams over the voice,
like the exact same kind of filter that they put over the vocal performances for like the Nazi zombies in fucking Call of Duty. Just the exact same filter used in his exorcism documentary, and
like it's entirely obvious what happened. Like there's no denying that is what happened.
It instantly elevates the entire scene to the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah,
because like Friedkin knows that it's bullshit. That this filter he's put over the voice is a filter, and yet after the whole exorcism takes place, it's followed by like a series of clips of him showing the footage to like neurosurgeons and like psychiatrists and stuff, and one of them like directly references like the guttural voice, and he says something along the lines of, "I don't know where that came from. That's clearly from somewhere else," which is a nice way of saying you added that in post. Which the funniest part to me is that like the exorcism was filmed, and then they put it through the filter and then showed that with the filter to the doctors, and then added that footage of the doctor to the actual movie. Like that they bothered to
psychotic.
they bothered to doctor the footage to show to the doctors before they fucking put it in the movie. They're just like, yeah, I don't know where that came from. That's not real.
It's strange because Friedkin, as he talked later in his life and different interviews, I think he became somewhat religious by the end.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I don't think he was fully like being a troll here.
No,
I think it was just wildly entertaining to put that together in that way. Because he does have some like genuine conversations with like Bishop Robert Barron, who is kind of like a popular like take-haver bishop.
Yeah,
that shows up on like podcasts and shit. I think it was on like Dave Rubin or something.
Okay, I have no idea.
It's a long time ago. I don't know what hellish part of my memory that came from, but
you might be possessed.
Yeah, I'm possessed by Dave Rubin. That's what's happening here.
The worst demon there is. Although, since you know his name has
gone crazy.
Since you know his name, his power over you is greatly diminished.
Yeah.
Just hysterical little documentary where like he asks like at least 10 different doctors and psychiatrists and neurosurgeons and all this, like, what do you make of this footage? And they're like, well, I'll tell you this, it's not a seizure, it's not like some sort of mental disorder, it has to come from somewhere else. And it's just all them being polite and saying either like this is some sort of like belief induced like psychosis or like just fake.
Yeah.
Because it's like none of these sort of symptoms match up with anything that they're familiar with, and it's just he's trying to like extract sound bites out of them, and it just consistently fails over and over again.
Yeah.
There's like an entire section where he just goes to the town where he filmed The Exorcist, and he's like going around to different locations. He's like, "Oh, this was where I filmed the movie." Yeah, that's right. That is where you filmed the movie. Very cool.
Thanks, Bill.
A documentary that focused more on like the town where he filmed the documentary, like just a behind the scenes thing of The Exorcist, probably would have been cooler.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Solely because of how short it is, as far as like being a little over an hour, and it's definitely something you should watch with friends because you'll have a good laugh.
But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, that's basically it. There's not much to say about it.
Not the worst movie we've watched for this podcast, but a close second so far.
Oh, okay. What would you say is the worst?
What?
Huh?
Polanski's What?
Oh, right. Yeah. Wasn't really a fan of that.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Here's something that was good. The Pope's Exorcist. Julius Avery, I think he's an Australian director.
Okay.
That he got really famous back in 2018 for directing this movie called... What's it called? Overlord.
Okay.
Which was like an alternate history action movie produced by J.J. Abrams. It's got this kind of like John Carpenter kind of vibe to it, which is hilarious because Wyatt Russell is in it, which is Kurt Russell's son.
Right.
Also a good movie. His first feature was this movie called Son of a Gun, starring Ewan McGregor.
Okay.
Which is also really good. It's like a prison break crime thing.
I've not seen that one.
So he's a solid director, I think. The only other movie that I haven't seen of his is called Samaritan, which is like a lo-fi superhero movie with Sylvester Stallone that came out last year.
Okay.
It's on Amazon Prime, I think. But yeah, I don't know much about him beyond that. And this is supposedly based on the 1990 book An Exorcist Tells His Story, and the 1992 book An Exorcist More Stories by Father Gabriel Amorth, and stars Russell Crowe as a fictionalized version of the Pope's exorcist, Gabriel Amorth. The Pope is played by Franco Nero, because I wanted to get that in as soon as possible, so that people understand that.
Yeah. People need a long time to let that sink in and really appreciate it.
They got Franco Nero to play the Pope. Which, I guess it would be, was it Benedict or John Paul? I don't know. Time.
I have no idea. Whoever the Pope was in 1987. He's not even called, like, Pope whatever in the credits.
Yeah, he's just the Pope.
The Pope.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This movie, like, this movie was made by someone who unironically thinks Catholicism is the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% here for it. Because there was a point we were watching this, and I think I said, "Man, I wish I was a Catholic." Or something like that.
I think you said, "This makes me want to be Christian."
Yeah, it makes me want to be Christian.
Because it's kind of hard to put to words exactly, but it kind of takes how do I want to word this? The movie is can't think of words.
It was I believe you said it was like a combination of The Exorcist and what the fuck was
the Da Vinci Code? Yeah,
the Da Vinci Code. Yeah,
with a little bit of sprinkling of anime in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I know what I was gonna say. You had said that this was, and I keep fucking losing my train of thought right as I get it back. Oh my god, this is great material. Okay. Fuck, what did you say? What did I say? What is happening right now? We'll probably cut this part.
Good lord.
I can't remember what I was trying to say.
It's a mix of fucking anime, Da Vinci Code, and The Exorcist. And that was where we left off, and then you said you got your train of thought back. And then you lost it.
Yeah, and it's gone.
Fuck.
I got it back, and then it just exploded.
Holy shit. That's not good.
Well, we'll just start talking through the movie. It'll probably come back.
This movie has, like, one of the most insane, like, openings that you could imagine from...
Yeah.
From, like, a very Christian kind of... I guess the subject is very Christian, but, like, the presentation is not at all like what you'd expect from a Christian movie.
Yeah, it's like someone, like you had said that it made Christianity like really cool or something, or maybe it was someone. No, you said it was made by someone that thinks Catholicism is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
this is what I was trying to think of.
Okay,
I think it's made by someone that like sees something cool in Christianity that no Christian takes advantage of.
Right.
And focuses in on that and nothing else.
That makes sense. Yeah. Like the opening of the movie is like an exorcism of this guy, and Father Amorth is kind of he shows up, and it's like the way that they kind of shoot the scene of him like arriving, it's like you're supposed to be like, holy shit, this guy's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And, like, he shows up, and Russell Crowe starts speaking fluent Italian, and you're like, what? He speaks Italian? Like, I didn't know Russell Crowe spoke fluent Italian. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And he starts performing the exorcism on this guy, and they, like, bring a pig into the room, and he's like taunting the demon that is possessing this guy. So it's like, oh, you believe you can possess anyone? What about this pig? Can you possess this pig? And it's like, oh yes, watch me. And then it possesses the pig, and then immediately they shoot the pig in the back of the head with a shotgun and kill it. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a bit unorthodox as far as exorcisms go. But it's kind of revealed later on that Amorth kind of takes this psychologist's approach to exorcism, where he most people that he encounters, he kind of sees that it's just someone that's mentally ill, and he'll often put on like a theater show to kind of trick them into thinking they've been exorcised of a demon when they were never really possessed. And so he just fucking capped this pig just as a move, just as a play.
No idea if this is actually true.
Oh yeah,
but
I hope that's true.
It is.
That's crazy. And he has like this tribunal come after him, and they're like, you performed this exorcism without the fucking approval of such and such. And he's kind of just like this badass like one-liner having priest.
Yeah.
Where he's telling them off, and he's like I was appointed to my position by my bishop, and he's like my
diocese is Rome.
Yeah. My boss is the Pope.
And if you have a problem with me, you take it up with my boss.
Yeah. Like, oh my god.
And the line in the trailer was cut for it to be like, if you have a problem with me, you take it up with my boss, the Pope.
The Pope. Yeah.
So this is a movie that knows exactly what it is.
Right. It's awesome is what it is, and it knows it. And
it was I guess they got kind of mixed reviews, and everyone I talked to kind of says something differently. Okay. But they're all wrong. This movie's amazing. And more movies should be this good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it kind of falls into, especially like the later act, the final act of the movie falls into the modern. Like, if you've watched a decent amount of like modern horror movies and stuff, you know how over the top and crazy some of the camera movements are, and There's just a specific look almost to the modern horror movie, and it kind of does have that going on, but like the actual, I think going into the movie without knowing anything about it was probably the best. I didn't even know that Franco Nero was playing the Pope until the scene where they showed his face. And
I don't think I found out until afterward that it was Franco Nero. Okay, like I didn't make the connection when I watched it and when I first watched it.
Well, you had said when we watched it this time, because you watched it in theaters and I watched it for the first time today. You had said you had set me up to be prepared to see who plays the Pope, so I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. But yeah, I guess the kind of the main plot of this follows they're like an American family that moved to Spain.
Yeah,
and the son gets possessed, and Russell Crowe has to exorcise the demon from him, and it's kind of interesting that they present him as this character that is well aware of the fact that the exorcisms he's performing are with people that just have like a mental problem, or that he's being performative in his way of removing this devil from them. But then like he encounters this kid who they get like these crazy special effects, like where the kid's eyes are like looking around, but there's like a second set of like demonic eyes behind his that are looking the other way. It's a very cool digital effect they had. And he's like, oh shit, we gotta do this for real. And let me just say, it's far more interesting than the exorcism we got in The Devil and Father Amorth, where it's just a room full of elderly people in like just like a white office building, like a white office room, and they're just like just kind of hanging out. She's just sitting in like a purple chair or whatever.
It's kind of interesting because in The Devil and Father Amorth, I think Friedkin said that when he talked to Amorth at first, Amorth said that he really liked the movie The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Assuming that's true. So the idea of him getting his own exorcist treatment in a movie is kind of interesting, kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward, simple, like commercial movie, but I was just kind of blown away by it when I first watched it, because I went into a movie called The Pope's Exorcist, and I was like, this is going to be retarded. And it was, but it's amazing.
Yeah. It's like the final act of this movie, in comparison to the final act of The Exorcist, it is so over the top and so anime in comparison. Like, the exorcism is being performed in like this rundown, derelict like church, I think, that was like there was construction being done there or something, and underneath it is like this centuries old Inquisition like underground compound or something. I don't even know what you would call it.
It was like a mausoleum for all of the non-converts that were killed during the Inquisition. So like and it ties into the kind of thematic part of the movie, and in a way, kind of one of Amorth's key issues near the end of his life, of like Satan infesting the church, because the demon, who we find out his name, Asmodeus, wants to possess the Pope's exorcist to get power in the church and begin to affect the world and fight the good and defeat it and whatnot.
Right.
And they figure out that during the Spanish Inquisition, the friar got possessed, and so all of the evil committed during the Inquisition was the work of Satan and a work of blasphemy, which kind of works as this kind of easy out for the Catholic Church to say, Satan did that.
That's right. Yeah. I think that's what you had said that Amorth had said about the like Catholic Church like pedophilia stuff
Yeah,
was that
yeah,
that was the devil working through priests, and
yeah,
if you genuinely believe that people can be possessed, and you believe in like this powerful evil force like that, I could see that being a conclusion you would come to, is like these people were possessed by Satan. Uh, it's kind of silly to think about it, if you don't believe in that sort of thing. But like,
yeah.
yeah, that's a bit of a heavy topic to get into.
Yeah. Eventually, the local priest, Father Tomas, shows up, and of course, he's not quite powerful enough to deal with this demon. They don't realize who it is. And so
Yeah.
they, throughout the movie, they become this like Batman and Robin of like fighting Satan, and it's pretty great. Uh,
Yeah, you called them a Batman and Robin kind of duo when we watched the movie. I was like, yeah, that's basically it.
yeah,
The um the like final exorcism of this movie, like the makeup they put on this kid was pretty good.
yeah.
There's
Where
like
he's like
his
skin
nose is
pulled back to his like bones or whatever.
yeah, and his nose is like broken and like
Yeah,
bent all weird on his face, and there's a part where like his shirt is lifted up, and there's like words are being carved onto his skin, and he's just like skin and bones at that point,
yeah,
because he's just been wasting away in this room. Uh, I don't know. It's I don't know how much I can really say about it, because
yeah.
it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty cool in its presentation, and uh, like obviously a lot, pretty much anything about exorcisms post The Exorcist is very derivative of The Exorcist, just
Yeah,
in just by necessity, because of how insane that movie was, how it kind of changed everything, and obviously the makeup on the kid was very much inspired by that. I think demonic possession is being represented by someone covered in horrific scars and being pale and all that. I don't know if it necessarily started with the Exorcist, but it certainly popularized it.
yeah, and even the connection to The Exorcist is deeper than that, because the original story that Blatty wrote the book based on,
That's right.
the quote unquote possessed kid was a boy and not a girl.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's that aspect to it. There's also the great part at the end where they're fighting the demons. At first, one of the manifestations of the demon rises out of this like water, and it looks like it's going to be Virgin Mary.
That part
and
blew my mind.
This is the most anime part of the movie. It's like fucking Guillermo del Toro Hellboy.
Yeah, Amorth. At this point, Amorth has like taken the demon out of the child, and it's in him now. And he's like retreated to this mausoleum, and he sees the Virgin Mary rise from the water, and he like kneels down, and you're like, what the hell is going on right now?
Yeah. It's definitely the most anime part of the movie, for sure.
Like, it was actually something that Tom had mentioned when we were watching the movie that I thought was interesting, which was that Tom, friend of the show, naturally.
Friend of the pod, Tom, yeah.
He said that a lot of these sort of movies, they show the power of the devil being very physical and in our realm and manifesting in specific ways, like the kid being covered in scars and like having these demonic eyes, and like being able to like cause wind to like blow around the room and all that other stuff. But the actual presence of good is very subtle, and I guess in a world where it is, you are called upon to have faith in the good, that makes sense why it would be subtle. As a visual thing, you wouldn't really see it. So then all of a sudden to see the Virgin Mary just as like physically manifest in front of him, you're like, what the hell is going on?
and then she like corrupts, and it turns out it's just a manifestation of the demon.
Right.
And then Tomas gets down there with him, and it's like this fucking Kingdom Hearts type shit going on. And also I thought of Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy just now. There's the like tomb with the spikes in it that opens up, and a manifestation of the demon walks out just covered in blood, naked woman. Like,
I think that's supposed to be the woman that like part of Tomas's story was that like he loved this woman, but she wanted him to leave the priesthood to be with her, and he knew he wasn't going to do that, but he still kind of like pursued a relationship with her anyway, and that was like his sin that he had trouble confessing throughout most of the movie. And so like his manifestation of the demon is this woman that he loved covered in blood, like trying to murder him.
And he has the this miraculous metal necklace that Amorth gave him.
Yeah.
And he says a prayer and touches the manifestation, and it just explodes.
It explodes into just like goop. Just red, just like blood everywhere. It reminded me of it reminded me of like the CGI effect of the blood in the first Blade movie.
Yeah.
Where there's like that one guy that his arm gets cut off and then it regrows on as like this red goo. It's like but she just exploded into that everywhere.
Yeah, there's a very like late 90s, early 2000s vibe to the end of this movie, which is really cool.
It was pretty awesome. And then he throws it to Amorth, who's fighting his own manifestation of the demon.
I think he has his crucifix. I don't think he uses that medallion.
Right. He does have the crucifix, and he puts
he holds it back. I think he like holds it back, and you hear the fucking Iron Man like charging up the arc reactor to shoot the thing.
Yeah, the arc reactor like gauntlet sound from. I've only ever seen the first Iron Man movie, like back in 2008, but it's like very clearly that sound as he presses this crucifix up to a demon's forehead.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, he just charged...
What is this movie?
He just charged, like, a fucking holy flashbang against this demon's forehead, and it killed it.
Yeah, it's super anime, it's super, like, JRPG, D&D shit in this movie. And it's like, you come to the conclusion of, like, if religion was like this, literally...
Yeah,
I think less people would leave it because it's just fucking cool.
Right, it was a very cool movie.
Yeah,
I think framing it as the guy that wrote this thought that Christianity was the coolest thing ever, basically sums it up perfectly. Like they approach these real beliefs of the Catholic Church, and they're like, but what if it was super cool in every way that it's presented?
Like, what if it was like badass,
right,
and dope as shit?
Yeah, and to some degree, Father Amorth is like a kind of badass figure, even in real life. Even if the exorcisms he did were like, you know, just total bullshit. The idea of just this guy that goes around believing that he is exorcising demons from people. And he has like a very specific philosophy of like the devil hates jokes.
Yeah.
So like,
and I talked about this when I first mentioned this movie.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yes, that's right. You did.
Yeah, because the kind of thematic undertone of the movie is like evil hates jokesters. Evil hates people that like see like the joy in life and revel in it.
Right.
And even though I'm not a Christian and I don't really take that part of it seriously, there is that aspect of it that I took from it that I thought was really positive.
Yeah, this might be the first instance of this phrase actually being used on this show, but there is a sense of life thing to be extracted from that, where like, you know, the importance on the good and what makes life worth living is kind of like what pisses off evil. And like even in the Devil and Father Amorth, he starts the exorcism by thumbing his nose at the devil, Like he's just being. He's like 90 years old. He's just like this 90-year-old trickster, just like goofing off in front of what he thinks to be the devil, in order to like piss off the devil and like it's like he's trying to trip him up and get him to fuck up, and joking is his means of doing that.
And in the Pope's Exorcist, there's one scene where he's talking to Tomas. He's like, "Do you know any jokes?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "You should learn some. The devil hates jokes."
Yeah, the devil hates jokes.
So you just imagine like Tomas, like in his first like solo exorcism, he like tries to tell Satan a knock joke.
Incredible.
And based on how the movie ends, and it ends in a very like Nick Fury at the end of Iron Man way, of them like saying, "All right, we're gonna like travel the world and find all these gateways and close them." Very Kingdom Hearts, like closing the door with the key. And even at the end, like with the gateway to hell, they end up closing it, and it looks like fucking Kingdom Hearts. I know you haven't played it yet, but
yeah, it's kind of crazy that the movie ends with, "Oh yeah, there are 200 of these evil locations across the globe, and we are going to go to all of them, and we're going to close them." And they're like in the Vatican archives, looking at like all these like statues and crosses and like artifacts and stuff. It felt very like Indiana Jones almost at the end, like the big warehouse where they just kept the Ark of the Covenant or whatever.
Which is the warehouse thing is real. Like there is the Vatican archives, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And they have
crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's someone finally, like maybe not finally, but in a popular format, took aspects of Christianity that are fucking cool. And just leaned into them instead of like doing all of the annoying shit.
Right. It works. It's doing a lot more for the Christian cause, if you will, than any faith-based movie ever made.
Right. Yeah.
Besides maybe Passion of the Christ.
Yeah. Which is also fucking cool.
Yeah. Just an insane movie. And we were like, I was joking at the end where I was like, man, wouldn't it be awesome? Because like the entire time that the movie is going, Father Amorth goes around Europe traveling on his little moped, his little scooter.
Yeah.
And I was just like, could you imagine if this movie ended with like Father Amorth riding off on his scooter to Highway to Hell? Like that'd be the funniest way to end this movie. Obviously they don't do that, but we were also envisioning like a post-credit tease of like Asmodeus in hell, being like, "Damn, he sent me back to hell," and then Lucifer is just like, he's there and he's just like, "Fine, I guess I'll have to do it myself."
Which is like the end of Avengers: Age of Ultron, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like fucking Mark Pellegrino from Supernatural, just for whatever reason.
Good lord. They tease a young Pope Francis. It's like, "Oh, I'd like you to meet someone, Father Amorth." "Oh, who's this?" He's like, "Call me Frank."
But it turns out that Frank is like a bad guy because like the new pope is a libtard. That's
right. You're right. Yeah. He should have been on that tribunal that was trying to punish Amorth.
Yeah. I love the line where he's like, "I know a firing squad when I see one."
Yeah, because like that's another part of his like backstory in this. Because I guess both of the main priest characters kind of have like a sin from their past that they struggle to like come to terms with, and kind of facing their own internal demons in a sense is kind of what allows them to defeat the external demon.
Yeah.
And his was, I guess, his survivor's guilt because he fought for the partisans in Italy during World War II against the fascist government, and a bunch of his friends got killed and he didn't. So there's kind of like that survivor's guilt, which isn't really a sin. It's just more of like a hard thing.
It's unearned guilt, essentially.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a thing you have to overcome, the guilt that you didn't earn that guilt, so you shouldn't feel it.
But there was also the mentally ill woman that he
That's
was.
right.
In a way, I would, if I was a Christian, this would be a sin, and this would be like the sin of pride, essentially. And he touches on this in the movie, where he thinks he's able to handle the situation in his normal theatrical way, but this woman is genuinely disturbed and not just having an episode.
Yeah, and
like
she ends up committing suicide, and
in a super dramatic way. She gets those like blood angel wings that you mentioned. It's fucking metal as shit.
That was it. That was insane. Like she falls. They show her fall off the building, or jump off the building rather, and then there's like a shot looking down at her laying on the ground and like Amorth cradling her body, and she left like these angel wing patterns of her blood splatter on the ground. Just the imagery of this movie was crazy. I can't imagine like what it would be like approaching this movie as like an actual Christian who doesn't have a stick up their ass about stuff. You know, you'd probably be like, "This is the coolest movie ever."
Yeah, it's a really cool movie. Apparently, there's supposed to be a sequel in the works, based on how the movie ended. And I think I remember reading about that.
But I hope so.
I mean, let's go. Give them the like $200 million Marvel thing and make them fight demons for real. Let's go.
I want him wielding a giant crossbow, like shooting demons.
And, like, one of them has like Excalibur, and it's like the Bible man, full armor of God shit. Like, let's do it. Like, fuck it.
Kind of do like a Tomb Raider or like Nathan Drake, like Uncharted kind of thing, where like the each entry is very visually distinct from the other one based off of where in the world he's going to find this evil site.
Yeah.
Or like I guess that's also kind of Indiana Jones too.
I think you got a franchise if you do this right. Like, let's go.
Yeah, it could make up for the fact that Russell Crowe was going to play Dr. Jekyll in that horrible like attempt at a Universal Monsters cinematic universe.
Oh yeah.
He could get his franchise going as Father Amorth. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And the idea that this is just based on a real person and they fictionalize it in this anime way and it like works.
Right.
So cool. Such a cool movie. I mean, that's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah,
pretty short episode, but
I mean, it's not terribly short, but in comparison to the stuff we've been doing recently, it's actually very short.
But I think we'll be back next week. We're into Spooky Month at this point. It's October 1st. We're recording this. Should go up on the 2nd.
That's right.
Next episode will be about, is it Jigoku and
Onibaba.
Onibaba. Famous Japanese J-horror classics.
That's right.
Japanese J-horror is what I just said.
Japanese J-horror, yeah.
As opposed to the other kind of J-horror.
So that one will be going up on the 9th. And then we will be doing the next episode for that rather almost immediately after that, where instead of doing it normally, we would do it every Monday. So the next episode would have gone up on the 16th. We're actually going to do it a bit earlier on the 13th because it's a Friday, and the episode is about Friday the 13th. At least the first two of them, and the Mario Bava. What was that movie called?
A Bay of Blood.
A Bay of Blood. Yeah. So next week, technically you'll be getting 2 episodes in 1 week, but really it's just the next week's episode coming out 3 or 4 days early.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That'll be it. We will see you next week.
Yep. See you next time.